So today I want to talk about scams and how to avoid them and how to keep safe, really. In today's very heavily internet-based world, there are still a lot of ways that people can be scammed and a lot of ways that people don't know how to keep themselves safe from scams. Over a few episodes, I'm going to look at the different types of scams, the ways that you can look out for them, and the things that you can do to keep yourself safe from them, such as kind of best practices and bits of software that you can use and things such as that. So this is the first episode, and the first thing that I'm going to look at are email scams. One of the most popular forms of scams and probably the most prevalent as well, and one that people still do fall for despite many years of advice having been put out there in regards to how to notice them, how to avoid them, and other bits of advice. So the to understand scams and email scams in particular, you have to think about what the motivation is behind them. Now, the motivation behind pretty much every type of scam is financial incentive. Now, it's not always obvious as to what the kind of financial incentive may be, as quite often that will come later in regards to they will kind of lure you in with a promise or an offer, and to redeem that offer you have to provide some form of financial kind of incentive or financial aid to the person in question. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes it can literally just be about gathering information. Information can be just as valuable as actual money. That is because information about you as a person can be sold and traded to others who want to exploit that in various ways, such as employing their own form of scams or using it to gain access to computer systems and things such as that. So they're the kind of two main things: financial incentive and information incentive, as it were. Both of them generally employ very much the same kind of tactics to kind of get that from you, and going to look at some of them now. So some of the kind of most common ones that you'll come across are kind of emails that state you've won something, or somebody has something such as money, gold, things such as that basically lure you into a sense of false security to think, oh, I can get something out of this. So they're exploiting people's, for lack of a better word, greed. Now, it doesn't actually mean that you're greedy as a person, but it's just that who doesn't like something that is free or that is easy to get, as it were, especially if it is something valuable such as iPads, gold, computers, things such as that. They're all quite common things that people kind of offer in regards to scams. Now, one of the big kind of problems with any of that is that realistically, if something is too good to be true, it often is. That is a bit of advice that a lot of people will hear from parents, family, loved ones, things such as that when they're younger, that if something is too good to be true, it probably is. That applies to pretty much every single part of life, no matter what. So if you do receive an email that is a scam, how does it look? So I've kind of gotten a few on one of my email accounts, and they vary. So one of the ones that I received recently is a email that states, Hi, I'm Sergeant Dave Alejandro with the US Army in Afghanistan. I want to make sure I have the correct email and your contact information. I need your assistance in the transfer and safekeeping of $2,600,000 in US currency. If you could, please respond to this email and I will send you further instructions so we may proceed with the transfer. The funds are not stolen, nor is there any risk associated with the said transfer. Thank you for your time. This will be a very lucrative event. Lastly, if my offer is of no appeal to you, delete this message and forget I ever contacted you. Now, that email in itself has a few points that kind of play upon people's allegiances and things such as that. So the first one is Sergeant Dave Alejandro with the US Army in Afghanistan. Now, if you are particularly patriotic and are very pro-military, that will kind of make you think, oh, somebody from the army needs my help. I want to help the armed forces, why wouldn't I? So that kind of lures you in with that. It's very friendly in language as well. Want to make sure I have the correct email and your contact information. It's not aggressive and things such as that. It's just kind of asking for information. I need your assistance in the transfer and safekeeping of $2,600,000 in US currency. Now, that is the kind of financial incentive. It's that thing of, oh, there's a lot of money there. I could get some of that. Even 10% of that, or even 1%, could change some people's lives drastically to the point where they go from struggling to being okay. Now, kind of further along, it says the funds are not stolen, nor is there any risk associated with the said transfer. That is trying to put your mind at ease. It's trying to make you think, this isn't a scam, it can't be. It's from somebody in the army. Why would somebody in the army scam me? They're trying to put my mind at ease by saying that it's not stolen, there's not going to be any risks associated with it as well, so it's all above board, all legit, nobody gets hurt. So it does play upon your kind of emotions and your allegiances and also your wants. Now, that is very common. A lot of people will get something similar, such as ones about some sort of royal family member in a foreign country needing to transfer funds, or just a complete stranger needing to transfer funds. They will quite often require your help to transfer it to something such as a checking account or a Western Union money transfer. Now, all of it is complete nonsense. If you had money that you needed to transfer, there's no reason why you couldn't transfer it out of the country, especially if you had that much. If you have that much money, you would likely have some form of private banker that would be able to take care of any logistics for you. You, as the person who has the money, wouldn't need to get anyone else involved. All you would need to do is go to your private banker and say, I need this money transferred to this country's banking systems, and they would take care of it. There may be some form of charge depending on who you're transferring it to and the amount, but that will more than likely be a very tiny amount. But that is another thing that they kind of play on. They say, oh, well, I would do it myself, but there's admin fees and transfer fees, and after all of that, it's not really worth it. If you had millions and millions of dollars, the amount that you could be charged would be absolutely nothing in comparison to the main bulk of it. So stories and messages such as that, if you kind of get one that is asking to transfer money or asking to have some form of money to pay any transfer fees, it will most definitely be a scam. There are other ways that you can kind of double check that. So one of the first things is the email address that it is sent from. So if you look at the email addresses that things are sent from, which any kind of decent email client will allow you to do. It will show you the email address that it was sent from. Normally, it will be complete gibberish, or it will be some random person's name, and it will actually have nothing to do with the person or the entity that the person is supposedly emailing you from. So, lately, I've been getting quite a few saying that they are from Visa and Netflix. Both of these companies are very well known, reputable, and do send out emails if there are issues. So if you get an email that looks legit, always check the email address. If the email address isn't kind of, so for example with Visa, if it wouldn't be visa@visa.com, for example, or something along those lines, think, well, it's a little bit weird, there's a lot of gibberish within it, that doesn't seem quite right to me. So one of the examples I have is, let's have a look here. So one to do with PayPal. Now, the email address that it's sent from is a couple of numbers, some letters, all kind of jumbled up, at kurohikurones.com. That to me doesn't seem like an email address that PayPal as a company would use. They would have one that has at least PayPal in the name. So that is one thing that you can kind of look at to maybe make you think, well, is this legit? If looking at the email, it does seem like it might be from them, copy it and paste it into Google. See if it shows up in the search results of a company. Now, it's not always going to be the case, as some automated email accounts may not be listed, or they may change slightly and be quite new. But if you're not sure, Google the email address to see if it is kind of reported as legitimate. If it is, then you can proceed if you so wish, but I would say possibly see about doing a little bit more digging. So if the email address seems legit, maybe look at contacting the company yourself. Most big companies have some form of contact method, whether it be email, online web chats, telephone, you name it. Contact them. Make sure that you are speaking to them. If they have tried to contact you, they can then say, yeah, we have tried to contact you about this issue. We need you to take action. Then fine, you can proceed. But if you are ever unsure, even in the slightest, now I can't really emphasize this enough, but if you are unsure at all, do not click anything. Don't kind of get sucked into it. Do your research and your homework. Now, I'm going to kind of briefly touch upon the reasons why it's so important that you are careful with things like this. So say, for example, you respond to an email that says, hi, we're Netflix, PayPal, Amazon, you name it. We need you to log into your account and update your details or change your password. You click on the web link in the email, it takes you to a page that looks legit and acts legit, but it isn't. When you log in, it will likely spit out an error that says login failed or wrong password, wrong email address. So you try to log in again, it gives you the error once more. It keeps doing that until you kind of think, oh, must be something wrong with their website or my internet. And there isn't actually anything wrong with the website that you've been trying to put your details into. It's designed to give an error, but what it has actually done is copied your password and your email so that the people behind the website can then log into your accounts. So if, for example, you've gotten on from your bank, and it says please log into your bank. So you go onto it and you give all your details. All of a sudden, those people have access to your banking information. That means that they can request cards, they can take out credit cards, loans, all sorts, all in your name, because all of a sudden they've got access to your information. Now, in conjunction with other kind of scams, such as email scams, text scams, people collect masses of information on individuals, keep all of that in a giant database, so that they can then, in the future, once they've collected enough, such as emails, name, address, potentially even things such as mother's maiden name, first pets, first car, first school, things that are common security questions. It means that they can then phone up your bank, speak to them, give all of the information required, take out loans and things such as that in your name. You then have to fight to get your identity back. It is all in the vein of stealing your identity for financial profit. Now, it is a bit sad that you do kind of have to be so careful and distrust a lot of people, but by taking 30 seconds, a couple of minutes, just to have a look at an email that you've received, you can save yourself a lot of time and potentially a lot of money down the line. Now, just a few kind of examples of ones that I've received lately that I haven't covered yet. One is Netflix saying that they're going to close my account. Now, I don't have Netflix, so by them saying we're going to close your account down, it's kind of ringing alarm bells, as how can they close an account down that doesn't exist? Now, you might also get one that says you're going to get your email account closed down because you haven't used it. Now, some companies will close down defunct accounts or unused accounts after a long time. Normally though, it's at least 2 to 3 years of inactivity. So if you haven't ever logged into your account within 2 to 3 years, then they might look to close it down. Now, once again, if you do get an email that says we're about to close your account down, by all means think, okay, do I have an account? If you do, think, okay, I won't click anything in the email, but what I'll do is I'll go to their official web page and then log in to reactivate my account. Once again, if you are concerned though, speak to the company. Their customer services team would much rather likely you speak to them and kind of go over your concerns from a safety point of view than you kind of click a random link and a random email that may not even be from them. So if you do, for example, get one saying we're going to close your account down, think, do I have an account? If not, delete the email or just leave it be. If you do, then don't click on anything in the email, but instead go to the company's website, log in, or speak to their customer services team first and then log in. If you do still want the account, then that is absolutely fine. If not, you can then actually also request their customer services team to close it down immediately. Now, I'm going to kind of wrap it up there, as there are a few other types of scams that I want to cover in other episodes. Now, I haven't covered everything in regards to email scams. I will likely kind of cover other bits and pieces off as the series goes along, but there are a few things that you can just kind of look at and think about to try and keep yourself safe when you receive an email that doesn't quite seem right. If you do have any comments, questions, queries, by all means do leave them down below. But thank you ever so much for listening. I do hope this kind of advice has helped you, given you something to think about, and do hope you all keep safe. Bye.